So how do you read a full book cover to cover in less than 2 hours or so without actually forgetting everything you actually read? By the way, I wish I learned about this a long time ago, because for me, for the longest time ever, I would read a book, okay, cover to cover, the entire thing, and then once I was done, 10 days later, literally, I couldn't even remember the cover or the title of the book that I actually read because everything was gone. That's because I stored it in my short-term memory and not my long-term memory, which I will teach you how to do in this video right here. Now, the main thing is this, guys. For this video, I want to give you guys 3 main tips that I use to actually read a book in 1 to 2 hours, get all the information I need, and then move on to my next book. And that's why last year, 2019, well, your boy actually did around 41 different videos on YouTube talking about books and book reviews or summaries. Guess what? And I also read a little bit over 50 books last year. So I read a book every single week because that's what I wanted to do. So I got a lot of information without having to sit there and go through the entire book every single time, 14 hours to read. I saved a lot of time by learning how to speed read, and that's my goal to teach you guys in this video right here. Now, if you guys don't know me, my name is TommyBryson. I'm an accountant, and I upload videos on YouTube every single day. Go ahead, do me a favor, and also subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you get notified. And also, if you haven't done it already, like this video. It helps a lot with the algorithms. Thank you guys so much. Now, I want to ask you guys a question, okay? If I taught you to read a book in 1 to 2 hours, how many books would you read literally in 1 year? So by 2020, by the end of 2020, how many books do you want to have written, well, not written, right? Because you're not writing. How many books do you want to have read by the end of 2020? Comment down below, let me know. And if you ask me, guys, for this year, last year I did 50. My goal is to read maybe like around 55 to 60 books. And that way I get all the information I need. Because again, guys, okay, whenever I read a book, I have to make a video about it and give you guys all the main points. So that way you don't have to read the book. So in reality, it takes me just a little bit more work. By the way, if you don't even like reading like cover to cover and you just like want to listen to a book, I downloaded Audible. It helps a lot with me. Also, on top of that, I have a link down below for Audible. When you sign up, you get 2 free books. And on top of that, you get a 30-day trial for free. And if you cancel, you still get to keep those 2 free books. And you want to find out, Tommy, what are your favorite 2 books? Well, I'm going to tell you guys later on in this video towards the end. So make sure you stick around to the end. Now, guys, the main point of this video, the basic idea here, all we're going to talk about is speed reading, but most importantly, how to remember everything. So that's speed reading and also memory, and how to combine them both to make sure whatever you read actually sticks inside of your brain, because it's the hardest thing, if you ask me, ever. And now, the first thing I want to tell you guys about speed reading is the pros and the cons to doing this. Now, the pro is you get the information, you consume it, you get it, you remember it if you do it correctly. However, when I was in college, middle school, and also even high school, everyone told me the same thing. Tommy, if you're reading a book, a textbook, doing whatever you want to do, even an article, you have to read it all the way through, or else you won't get to remember any of the information. But whenever I read a book cover to cover, well, I actually remember a lot less than if I just read like one single part with all the important stuff, okay, like the highlighted stuff, you know. So basically, that entire idea is not real. So you don't need to read a book cover to cover. That's just what they tell you in school to keep you busy, you know. That's what I think they do, at least. But in reality, even when you take a test, guys, the test is not like on the entire like book. It's basically on the main core idea of the book. So if you just read that core idea, you should still get an A no matter what. So no cover to cover here. That's not necessary. By the way, the main con of speed reading the incorrect way is that you don't remember what you actually read after 10 to 30 days. Now, Tommy, why is this? Well, the answer is it's because there's something called short-term memory and long-term memory. So in this video, I'm going to show you guys how to take your entire book reading in 1 to 2 hours, and instead of having that in short-term memory that you forget in like 1 to 10 days, well, I'm gonna have you put that into your long-term memory that you remember for the rest of your life if you actually want to, okay? That's the goal for this video, so make sure you stick around till you find out exactly how we're gonna do this. So the first thing when it comes to speed reading, guys, is that you really only have 2 types of books, and the first type are basically storybooks / step-by-step books. For example, have you ever read a book, when you read the book, you're like, okay, this is a great book so far, I've learned so much about him, but when am I actually going to get to the entire core of this entire book to actually teach me something? The answer is usually, well, is going to take you a long time. And that's why books take such a long time to read, because there's a lot of fluff, a lot of examples, a lot of stories, but in the end, it's not really telling you exactly what you actually need to learn. So to actually speed read through a storybook / step-by-step / inspirational / self-help book / fiction or non-fiction, well, it's not on-fiction, right? It's called non-fiction, not on-fiction, okay? Let me just clarify that for everyone that is trying to clarify my grammar every single day on these videos, okay? Now, to speed read, guys, the first step you need to take is very simple. It's called the analytical step, okay? So what you do right here is that you have to analyze the book you're actually wanting to read. So tell me, how exactly do I analyze it, bro? The answer is very simple. So go ahead, get your book ready, guys. We're gonna start right now, okay? I'm gonna give you guys, okay, we're starting right now. Sorry, you're too late. But basically, we're gonna go ahead and grab the book that you actually wanna read, and you wanna read the cover. Once you're done with that, go ahead and make yourself all the way to the back, where usually they have the entire blurb of the book, the back, the summary of the entire book. But usually with Gary's book, they're not here. He just has quotes to make sure you know that he's official, and he is. But the main thing is usually have a blurb right here that shows you guys exactly what the book is actually going to be about and the main ideas. But when it's not out here, it's going to be in the jacket of the book, or what I call a piece of paper when you don't really want to spend money on having everything on the book, okay? But basically, right here, usually within the book, in this little jacket of the book, it should have everything you actually need, and you want to go through all this information, and usually it contains the blurb of the book, like the summary, and also information on the author, in this case, Gary. And on top of that, make sure you check the back of the book also, because sometimes it's also included right here also. So make sure you go through all this information right here. So again, the cover, the back, and also the author information, and also the summary of it. Now, once you're done with that, you want to go ahead and, but Tommy, this sounds like a lot of reading. No, in reality, it should only take you around 15 minutes. Trust me, bro. So basically, you want to make yourself into the book. You want to make your way into the book. I don't know where you were going to go there, but you want to go into the book and basically just go through the table of contents and just read that right now, okay? So once you're done with the table of contents, it's going to basically give you guys, okay? Once you're done with this entire thing right here, the cover, the back, the author, and also table of contents, what you will have now is a basic, great idea of what the entire book is basically about. I promise you, okay? Now, to actually get this information in 15 minutes, it's a lot better than having to read the introduction and everything, usually around like the 3rd chapter, to actually get the entire core idea of the book. So by doing this, you get the entire core idea right then and there in 15 minutes, and you save yourself around 2 hours of work of reading the entire story about the author. Oh my gosh, you went through so much. Tell me more. The story is so amazing. No, this way you get the core right then and there by analyzing the cover, the back, the insides, and also the table of content. Okay, Tommy, so what is the next step once I'm done with that? That's step 1, right? So it has to be step 2, and also a step 3, but I'm sorry, not a step 4. Maybe another time, okay? But not today. Only step 3. There we go. So step 2 is basically called Nugget Hunting. Tell me, why is it that everyone always talks about nuggets when they're talking about books? The answer is, I'm not talking about chicken nuggets, okay? It's not McDonald's here, but I am talking about nuggets, like gold nuggets, okay? So basically, whenever you want to find gold, you go out there, you find a little nugget of gold, and basically that's your goal. So now you use that and you sell it, you make money, okay? So basically, every single book has what we call a nugget inside of it. The main fact, the main idea of the book, the main core information that you need to actually learn something from it, and then everything else around that is just dirt, okay? It's just dirt, like when you're looking for gold. So basically, in this book right here, it's not really one of those books, but in reality, most books out there have like 1 to 3 main ideas, and that is about it. Once you're done reading that, that is all you really need. So how do you find this exactly? Well, what you need to do is go nugget hunting. And here's how you actually do it. Step number 2. So what you basically want to do is you actually want to go ahead and start scanning chapters for 1 to 5 minutes each, okay? So basically, by the way, usually the introduction you can skip, because usually the introduction doesn't really contain anything except like, hey, my name is this person. I'm trying to make sure you know you can trust me. So usually you can skip the introduction. But in this case, what you want to do is you want to go through all the chapters for 1 to 5 minutes and see exactly what you like and what you don't like. By the way, do not believe the hype, okay? This is not school, this is not your professor here. Just go ahead and read it however you want to. So whenever I'm looking for chapters, what I like to do is I cheat, okay? So in order to cheat, what I do is I go to the table of contents and I look for chapters I'm actually interested in, and then I read those. I read it for 1 to 5 minutes, and I read it like, hey, the beginning, the middle, the ending. Does it sound interesting to me? And if it does sound interesting to you, write down 1 to 3 chapters you're interested in and just put it on the side, okay? So once you find 1 to 3 chapters, usually that is where the gold will be. And I'm pretty sure you prefer to find the gold like this instead of having to go through the entire book just to find the main factors of the book. It actually help you, okay? So basically, once you're done with this, it should take you around 30 to 45 minutes, maybe an hour if you're new to this. So basically, again, to clarify here, go through chapter 1, chapter 2, read through it, okay? Like 1 to 5 minutes, just look through it, okay? 1 to 5 minutes, okay? 3rd chapter here. It's still true. All right, we got enough. No, I'm kidding, okay? But basically, you want to go through each chapter, read it for 1 to 5 minutes, and get the core idea of the chapter. And if it sounds like it's interesting, just write it down in your little notebook or in your notes on your phone, and just like write it down and save it for later. Now, Tommy, what is the 3rd step once I'm done with this for like around 30 to 45 minutes and maybe an hour if I'm brand new? Well, the answer is, well, you went gold hunting. You found the gold. Those are the chapters right here that you actually know are interesting. So what you want to do is you want to go ahead and just take the gold, right? Because it's way better if I told you like, hey, you know, if you actually start digging here, you'll find gold in like 10 days. But if you go over here, well, you'll find it in 2 days or like 1 day or 1 hour. Which one's better? The one that you know exactly where the gold is. That's the point here. So now that you know exactly the chapters are the most interesting ones, what you actually want to do is go ahead and read all those chapters in full. So usually what I like to do is I look for 1 to 3 chapters, sometimes 5 if the book is very interesting. Usually I just don't find that many chapters. And once you're done with that, you read those chapters all throughout, and that way you find the main nuggets, the core idea of the book. And then guess what? You just sped right through the entire book just like that. Tommy, how long is it gonna take me? Well, if you did it correctly, just to like read those chapters, the main chapters with the main nuggets, because usually those are like a lot longer, it'll take you around an hour, sometimes 2 hours. So just by doing this method right here, basically, you analyze the book, cover to cover, just check everything going on here, and that's gonna take you 15 minutes. Then you want to look for nuggets, nugget hunting here. You actually do that, it's gonna take you around 30 minutes, okay? Now, maybe 30 to 45 minutes. Now, once you're done with that, you go ahead and you actually take the nuggets, read the entire chapters. That's gonna take you 1 to 2 hours. So in reality, this should take you between 1.5 hours to 3 hours to finish an entire book. That would usually take you maybe a week, 2 weeks, and sometimes even a month. So the point is, by doing this right here, you save a ton of time. But Tommy, I read the book, but I only have one problem. I don't remember what I read. Well, the first thing is this. Once you find the nuggets, you want to write them down, okay? So make sure you write down everything in your notepad. That way you know exactly what the nuggets are. And now, for the next step of this video, guys, I'm going to teach you guys exactly how to take this book and put it from your short-term memory to your long-term memory, and that way you remember everything about it and you don't forget it. Well, the first thing we need to understand here, guys, is that memory is very tricky. And the reason authors put a whole bunch of, examples, stories, all this extra stuff, for example, golden dirt, all this dirt in this entire book here, is because they want you to remember the main facts, the nuggets. And if you don't have that stuff, usually you won't remember everything. But because we're going to learn right here how to associate it for ourselves without having to need all that dirt, all those examples, all those stories that take hours to read, well, guess what, guys? Here's what we need to understand about memory. The first thing is, I am not a memory expert, but what I did do is I cheated again, okay? I always cheat. What I did was I read a book called Unlimited Memory, and the guy that did that book is a memory expert, and I learned everything about him and his entire theory. So basically, now you can call me a memory expert because I'm going to tell you guys exactly what he told me, a guy that did around 15 to 20 years worth of research in his memory, okay? And how everything works. So basically, here we go, guys. The first thing is this, guys, okay? Memory is extremely complicated, and I can't really go into all the details because it will be like a whole 40-minute video, but you have to understand two things here. Implicit and explicit memory, okay? Very simple. So if you really want to go into more detail, you can talk about episodic memory and also semantic memory. Again, it gets very confusing, so I'm gonna keep it simple here just to make sure you guys get exactly how it works. So the first thing is this: when it comes to implicit memory, it's when you don't try to remember something for a very long time, but you actually do, okay? By the way, short-term memory is when you know something like, hey, my keys are here, I have to go to school today, I have to do this, but that's all short-term memory. But long-term memory is something that you remember for years and years and years. Now, short-term memory, very simple. We know what that is. But long-term memory is divided into two parts, implicit and explicit. Now, if you want to go even more crazy here, you can talk about episodic and semantic memory. But again, that gets very complicated. So I'm just going to talk about the basic idea here of implicit and explicit. Now, implicit memory is all about remembering something for the long term without having to try to actually remember it. For example, embarrassing story here, but it's not me, okay? So I don't really feel bad about it. But I had this friend back in middle school, okay? And you know, I think we were like 12 or 11 years old, okay? I think we were 12 or 13 years old. I don't really remember that well. But the whole point is this, guys, okay? It's in my long-term memory now because of this one thing that actually happened. You know, usually we have a whole bunch of teachers, you know, they look like our moms, old ladies here and there. But this one time, this new teacher came by and she did not look like an old lady, if you know what I mean. So basically, we're all in class, okay, and all of us are going crazy in class because we're all talking about it, and the teacher asks one of my friends to stand up and go to the board and draw something on it, okay, and he's like, nah, I don't really want to go. And guys, I went to a religious school, so basically, you can't really say no to teachers back then, so he's like, no, I can't go. So we're all like, what do you mean you're not gonna go? Now, she says like, hey, she puts on a stern voice, says like, hey, get up right now and go. He goes ahead, gets up, and when he gets up, he has a Pinocchio nose in his pants, if you know what I mean. So now everyone is laughing, and just because of that moment right then and there, I remember that entire moment for the rest of my life. But it is implicit because I didn't mean to remember it, but I just remember it because it's a very exciting, very funny, very extraordinary thing. But usually books are not that. They're not like hilarious, funny, oh my gosh, I'm gonna remember for the rest of my life. Usually that is very rare to find in a book. So that's why we need to move from implicit to explicit. Now, explicit means you try to remember everything in this book and put it into your long-term memory. So basically, explicit is remembering everything on purpose, okay? So how exactly do you do this, Tommy? Well, the answer is you want to focus on three main things. The first thing is you want to visualize and add pictures to whatever you want to remember. Because again, I can remember a picture over and over again from Instagram, from anywhere, from a book, but usually words, they just go, okay? They just leave your brain. I don't know how, but they just leave. So basically, you want to attach usually a picture to whatever nugget you found in the book, and you want to visualize it, and that way you're more likely to remember that picture instead of trying to remember all the words. So remember the picture first, and then later on, the words will come into fruition, because visualizing is a lot better than just trying to remember words, because words just disappear. Trust me, I try to remember words and try to be like a photographic memory guy, but it just doesn't work for me, at least. So I wouldn't waste my time with it, okay? Now the second thing is you want to, by the way, no one likes this, I don't know why, but it's all about repeating things inside of your brain, okay? If you guys haven't noticed here, I repeated several things over and over to you, but you probably didn't even notice, okay? I repeated, for example, nuggets, memory, reading, all these things are repeated over and over again, and that's probably the main things you're gonna remember from this video, because again, I repeated it over and over again until it's sunk into your brain. So again, the nugget is the main part, you probably know that already, and then memory is how you're gonna remember everything you actually read from the book. And I read that, and I said that over and over again to make sure it gets driven into your entire brain. So repeating things over and over in your head actually helps you to put it into your long-term memory. Now, the third thing is you want to actually review it. So whenever you write down those ideas into that book, you want to go ahead and you want to take a day or 2 days, maybe 3 days, doesn't really matter that much, but the whole point is you want to take some time and review whatever you actually found in the book, and then guess what? That way you repeat it into your brain over and over again, and it sticks into your brain. By the way, not every book you read you want to do this for, because some books you might just want to forget about, okay? Because it might be just that bad. So basically, guys, when it comes to speed reading, the whole point is looking through the book, okay? Find the most interesting parts and then taking those parts, writing them down, and then putting them into your long-term memory. Right then and there, that is the core idea of this book. I hope you remember it, and if you haven't already, just go ahead and repeat it into your head, write it down, review it, and I guarantee you will never forget. Or just watch the video again, and that way you're good to go. But that would be like looking through the entire video again. So if you do want to speed read through it, description down below, check that out. And guys, as always, if you guys enjoyed this video, like this video. If you enjoyed it a lot, comment down below and let me know exactly what you liked about it. And on top, if you guys haven't done it already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you get notified. And if you want to talk to me one-on-one, uno, just DM me on Instagram, TommyBryson. And on top of that, if you want to watch all the book reviews I've done so far, all 41 of them, well, watch this video right here. And on top of that, click my face right here, so right around, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and as always, peace. I hope you remember this.